Like, Jessica, you can have your kids by yourself. You don't need no man. Who my best west side? Just have your kids by yourself.
They done gave up too.
You know, yeah, they gave up. They're like, girl, where the kids at? You know?
It's your boy KamsCorner. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Today we're reacting to these ladies just complaining and literally destroying the black community. This is why the black community got to where it's at. This is exactly why. Let's get right into the video.
Hearing y'all talk about everything and like how y'all feel about your futures, and it kind of makes me feel a little left out because I feel sometimes confused about what I want. I do know that I do not want to have kids unless I'm married. But when I sit and think about it, am I ready? Because I've been in a position where I almost got to the point where I'm talking about baby, and then I really think about it like, I don't know if I could be with this motherfucker for 65 more. I got to see his ass every day, 65 years.
And also, like, getting into involved in the entertainment industry really early on, everybody has Peter Pan syndrome. So it's just like, how do you
even choose?
I gotta pause right there. The girl in the blue hair, I respect her saying that. She's not saying, oh, I'm just gonna have a kid with anybody. She's saying, I don't even see myself being with you, so I'm not gonna have a kid with you. That's the way you're supposed to think. That's the way someone with intelligence thinks. Now let's see if the intelligence keeps up. Let me play the video.
Yeah. But I feel like, can I offer for you, I think the modern woman gets to choose. Like, I think our mothers and grandmothers and them probably felt like they didn't necessarily get that choice and they went the way of marriage and all the things because that's what it had to be. But because we are so non-traditional as women, we don't have to make that choice. It's not dire anymore. Sure, our uteruses have timelines, but even that there's a breath of fresh air in that, in the ability to freeze eggs and the ability to adopt or to create families in ways that are different and non-traditional.
I always feel like if it's not meant for me, God is not gonna let it happen.
Recently, my aunt would, because I'm like the last cousin with no kids.
Me too.
Yeah, and they're all like, where is that? Where are your children? My aunt was like,
Jessica, you can have your kids by yourself. You don't need no man. Who my best west side? Just have your kids by yourself.
They done gave up too.
You know, yeah, they gave up. They're like, girl, where the kids at?
you know, and I'm not gonna let me not finding Prince Charming or me not getting married stop me. Like, I'm going to have kids. Like, I'm going to have children. I don't care if I gotta go down to the clinic and say, I want that one, that one, that one. I'm going to have my children. That's not the end of the road.
sometimes?
This is how I know someone does not care about the actual children, and that's just a selfish statement. 70%, or I think it's 75%, of children that are people that are in prison, men, they're in jail. 75% of them do not have a father in their lives. When you raise a man up and he doesn't have a father in his life, you give him a way higher chance of ending in prison or becoming a failure as a man. So when you're saying you don't care, it's gonna do it on your own, you don't care, that shows me you really do not care about your kids at all. But let me play the video.
Because I was married. I'm divorced. I ended up raising my kids by myself anyway. So you never know how it's going to play out. So
marriage isn't a guarantee.
That's not a guarantee.
Yeah. Well, see, that's something I knew, but that's why I made it clear. That would be an example, like for me, that I would want to set. Like, look, we tried. We was married when we had you. It ain't work, and now his ass is out. I'm saying it based off of experience because my sisters had kids. One of them was married with one of the children, wasn't married with the other. But I saw their struggle. And I do know that the one that was married, he's still around and still prevalent in his child's life.
As a child that came from a marriage, I mean, both of my parents met in church. My father was preaching, my mom was a choir director. Like, she did it the right way. And 2 years ago, I was dating someone. Like, I really thought this man was gonna be my husband. Like, it was just in a short amount of time, he really love bombed me when I look back at it. But I remember calling my mom and crying to my mom. I was like, Mom, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get married. My mom said, take your time. Like, yes, I was married and I did everything right, but she said, I gave you the wrong father. I did it the right way, but I gave you the wrong father. For me, that really stuck with me because I had never heard anybody say that to their kid. I would never just wanna give my children the wrong father for the sake of saying, well, we were married first. I would prefer to be married, but more than anything, I would prefer for my children to have a healthy upbringing, even if it's just me.
Modern day woman.
I gotta pause right there. Take note what I said earlier about the whole 75% thing. So we're not even gonna get back into that. When her mom's saying, I gave you the wrong father, it's like, you're the one that's choosing the man, so you can't say you gave the wrong father. Just because you don't like everything the man does not mean that he's the wrong man. And I feel like nowadays, because everything is so, everyone thinks it has to be perfect. Everyone thinks marriage is for love. Marriage originally, it's in its conception, back in the times where these guys are talking about, the 60s, 70s, people were not getting married because of love. Marriage was never for love until like 25, 30 years ago. The whole history of marriage was not about love. Do not let Romeo and Juliet fool you. Marriage was about coming together and creating a union so that you could provide and pass down another generation. It had nothing to really do with love. Love was not number one. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all, but it wasn't really love. You wanted to marry somebody. As a man, you want to marry a good woman that could be a wife. And as a woman, you want to marry a good man that can take care of you, that had good boundaries and good morals. That's what you wanted. It was not about love. Now, when you put love first, love is fleeting. You could feel like you love somebody for 2 years, and then you could hit a rough patch for 6 months, and then you're divorced. You do not stay in a marriage because of love. You stay in a marriage because those what your vows were. And it takes effort from both sides, obviously. But to act like marriage is not important, and that's not one of the key factors in you raising successful children, is literally ludicrous. And it literally goes against every statistic out there. The communities and the races that have the best children and the best outcomes in life in America are all races with high marriage rates. The races with low marriage rates, my race, as you could see, if you look in most black communities, what do you see? There's anarchy because there's no men. It's just a bunch of teenage boys and women. That's it. It's a bunch of young men, teenage boys, and like women in their 40s and 50s. That's it. There's no men there. Men don't exist there. Go to any hood. I can go to a hood in where I live, in the country that I live. Any black hood, not talking about black area, I'm talking about black hood, meaning gang area. If you knock on each door, I guarantee you, out of 100 doors, you'll maybe get 10 men that will come to the door. Maybe 10 men will come to the door out of 100 doors in that neighborhood. So that shows you what the problem is right there. But let me play the video.
Has so many more options open to her without society's judgment or expectations.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for the black family?
I think it means a lot of things. I think, because we also are talking in a traditional sense of heterosexuality here. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many more representations of what family looks like, the modern day woman gets to release herself from those constraints and gets to have a freedom around being a world builder. Everything is just not one way, black and white, but we still hold on to these traditions because that's what tradition is.
But you call them constraints, right? And then you also call them tradition.
Yeah, because to me, tradition does feel like constraints.
They can be constraining. Yeah. I remember going down a rabbit hole on TikTok with white women talking about being trad wife. There's a trad wife side of TikTok where you have white women telling you that being a traditional wife is not what it's cracked up to be. Even to your point where you were like, well, what does that mean for the black family? The white family is breaking up too. I think sometimes it's just like, oh, this is a black problem. No, everybody is going through this. Like the white women are on TikTok losing their minds, telling us marriage does not.
This is why, like, it just baffles me. We're talking about what you see on TikTok. Don't look at TikTok. That's anecdotal evidence. That's not the majority. The majority of white families are staying together, and the ones that break up, it causes the same issues that we have in the black communities. That's why the poor white communities have the same issue of single motherhood. The poor white communities have the same problem. When you do not have a family, you're gonna raise all hell. That's exactly what's gonna happen. For her to bring up, trad wives on TikTok are complaining. What are they complaining about? They're like, my husband works all the time, so I don't have to pay all the bills. So because they're bored, they start to complain. Anyone that's bored is gonna start to complain because they're a traditional wife. They sit at home and do nothing. They maybe do some chores around the house or whatever, but they don't have actual goals anymore. So that's why they feel bored. It's not because they're like, my husband comes home and he's a piece of garbage and he just yells. No, I've seen those videos on TikTok. They're complaining that they don't get to see their husband that much. And they're also complaining that, cooking all the time and making sure this big house is clean, blah, 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 is so difficult. How about if you ask them to switch the roles and the husband stays home and you have to go maintain $1 million home, I guarantee you they'll be like, no, I would rather stay at home. They're just using that for content. Do not take it seriously. And these women are obviously taking it seriously. Oh my goodness. Let me play the video.
Give women what it used to give women anymore. Like, again, I'm saying this as someone who does want to be married. But even when I get married, I'm gonna have a prenup. I'm gonna have certain things in line for myself because I'm not marrying you to get out of anything.
So do you feel like at this present time, because you said kids, besides that, do you feel like you have it all?
Hell yeah, I have it all. I got a good wig. I got a good job.
I was gonna ask
I
you
got a
about
good
that,
job.
That's all you
Yeah. My still works, you know, like I got money in the bank. I have my own home. Like I have good health. To me, having the freedom to be who I want to be is having it all.
That's it, man. Let me know what you think down below. I think these conversations are very good to have, but the girl in the blue hair made the most sense, and the girl with the long flowy weave was just talking garbage, and that's probably why she's gonna be single and stay single. If you don't think that traditional family values is beneficial, then you've already lost. Then you're ignoring the facts of reality. Just because you see some traditional wives complaining on TikTok, that does not mean that that traditional way is not the best way. Statistically speaking, being married will give you the best outcome in life. Literally, look at any rich, wealthy man, they're married. Why are they married? Because that's the best outcome for your children. Same thing with women. A lot of the most successful women of other races, I'm not talking about black people, just in general, they're married. Most wealthy people in general are married because marriage is the best way to do things. There is not this way of like, oh, I'm gonna be a single mom purposefully because I want to have kids. That's selfish and that's silly. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button if you made it this far. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we could celebrate. You know, we'll do something. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll do something for 1,000 subscribers. Again, I'm KamsCorner, and I'm out.